Hi, and welcome to our new segment on the space in between, the space between. We're starting to air some new ghost stories on our podcast, and these are true stories from people who have had their own experiences getting in touch with the people they love that has helped them to reconnect, to feel comforted, and to continue to live their life to the fullest. So let me know what you think, and here's our first I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost story. Steve, an accountant working in financial services, lost his father 12 years ago after a long battle with dementia. Steve was extremely close to his father and was heartbroken over this loss.
My dad passed away in November of 2005 after he was suffering from dementia and had several strokes, and was really just a shell of himself in the last, called 6 months of his life. So we finally had to get to a point where he couldn't feed himself, and my mother couldn't take care of him at home. So that was in November 2005. He was in hospice, and I was there with my mother, and I was there at the very last minute when he took his last breath. But he was still smiling, and he was okay. It was his time, and he was ready.
Steve has dreams about his father, which feel like visits, and his dad always comes through with a very clear and powerful message. So Steve knows his dad is always with him.
I remember one in particular where we were at some sort of concert, and we were sitting in the audience, and they were telling, the audience, "Oh, come on up here, let's sing." And we were clapping our hands in the audience. I said, "Dad, come on up. Let's go up to the stage." And he goes, "You go up there, and I can't go up there, but I'm watching you."
Steve had never really considered a reading to connect with his dad. However, his wife, Ursula, went for a reading. And when Steve's father started coming through and communicating, what happened next made Steve a believer.
She came back from this reading and said, "It was really strange. Amy got in touch with your father, and he kept on interrupting everyone and kept on asking about a ring." And I came home and I told Ursula, I'm like, that's the weirdest thing, because my father never wore a wedding ring. He hated wearing jewelry other than his watch. And so I just thought this was like, that's not him. So I didn't think anything of it. And I went home to Philadelphia the next week, and my mother said, I was going through your father's stuff, and I picked out a bunch of things, and I found his blue college ring. I'm like, what? I found your father's blue college ring, and I remember it was sitting on like this glass table, and I was just like, oh my God.
So what did you think at that moment? Because you were when Ursula, your wife, came home after her reading, you were pretty convinced there was no way that what I was talking about to her was even possible.
The whole idea of him having a ring and him being adamant about, did you get the ring? Did you get the ring? Just didn't seem like that was even a possibility, because he never wore a ring. So he was, the fact that he was so adamant about that I had his ring, and I didn't even think that was a possibility. So I was really skeptical. I said, I think Amy's got the wrong guy.
As a result of this experience, Steve decided to seek out his own reading, and certain things came through that helped Steve truly know he was talking to his father.
We used to play tennis together, and, he was, I remember him saying, like, those were some of our best memories, like the family playing tennis, and he was saying he remembered that. He also said, he always loved Ursula, and he said, I'm glad you're with Ursula, and also take care of Nini, which is my younger sister.
Steve's father's occupation was a huge part of his identity, and he made sure that came through in the reading.
My father was a doctor in horrible neighborhood in Philadelphia, but his he loved what he did, and he was. It wasn't a glamorous career, but he loved his patients, and his patients loved him, and he wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, during the reading, that was like something that like came through, that he was happy with his career, and he did miss some of his patients as well.
The reading was a reminder of how present Steve's dad still is in his life, and the messages of love came through strong and clear.
So for me, because I was so close to my father, I feel like he's with me almost all the time. And even though one of my biggest regrets is my son Spencer didn't get to meet him, but I do remember during the reading he said I could, he's a beautiful boy, and I'm watching him. So, and the other thing about my father is he wanted to make sure he said, I'm okay. I'm seeing everything. Love you. And I'd say my whole family takes comfort in that.
While the reading was an emotional experience for Steve, he has gone on to feel deeply connected to his dad.
I was crying, but it was like tears of tears of happiness, and it was comforting because I kind of feel like I'm getting back in touch with him, and in some ways it's almost as if he was sitting next to me, obviously in a different realm, but it's I walked away, but I was crying, but it was tears of comfort too. He always wanted me to know he was going to be okay, and when he died, and he had a smile on his face, and I know that he's still with me.
Like our new Space in Between, the Space Between, I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost stories, if you do, reach out and let me know on Twitter or Instagram at Dr. Amy Robbins. Or if you have a ghost story of your own to share, please reach out to me. You can find me at www.dramyrobbins.com, or you can email me at dramyrobbins@gmail.com. And that's Robbins with 2 B's. I can't wait to hear from you, and if your ghost story works, we'll share it on our podcast.